Hello, yes, hi, and welcome to the Dark Knight Conspiracies, episode 48, April Showers. Well, we've had another interesting week. We're being distracted by all this rumors of war, biblical. We got Ukraine and Russia, Joe Biden. You got Taiwan, China. The administration really isn't doing anything other than fanning the flames, but what they're doing is distracting, and I'm not going to focus on all that because I do think a lot of it's a distraction. Not that I'm saying it's not going to happen, but I want to focus on the month of April. We're going to take a trip down memory lane. For those of you that don't connect dots, what's so significant about the month of April? Well, I can tell you a lot of historical events have happened throughout the month of April. A lot of wars have started, but I want to focus primarily on April 15th through the 22nd. 7 days, 1 week. And the significant events that have happened during that time. And by the way, not that you don't already know, what's significant about April 15th right off the bat, that's tax day for those of us in America. So let's get into it. And I'll leave the links for all this. This is a chronological order. It's an old link. I couldn't find anything recent. I believe it stops around 2010, 2011. We've had events since then. I also want to point out, if we go back to the 4th, Martin Luther King was assassinated. Riots started on April 5th. But I want to focus on the 15th through the 22nd. So in 1865, President Lincoln was assassinated. In 1912, the Titanic struck an iceberg and sank. The 18th, the massive earthquake of San Francisco. Now the 19th. This is a very significant day. In the satanic world, this is considered a blood sacrifice day. Now, why would I say that? Well, let us look at, first we have the Boston Marathon started on the 19th. And I just want to point out, this was also a significant day on the 15th. This was the Boston Marathon bombings in 2013. So that's to show you that this site isn't fully updated. But you can find the rest of the events. So what else did we see on the 19th? In 1993, we had the whole Waco, Texas Waco massacre. And for those of you not old enough to remember this, this was David Koresh, had a cult with a lot of young people, and a lot of them basically burned to death from an assault by the U.S. government. 1995, the Oklahoma City bombing on an FBI building. The 20th, the Columbine High School shooting massacre. 21st, Tiananmen Square. For those of you that don't know about this, this was in China. Massive protests and people showed up in Tiananmen Square. China responded by sending tanks and basically mowing people down in cold blood. Speaking truth to power here, folks. You can do your own research. This stuff happened. So I just want to give you a history of the month of April. And you can see why so many significant events have happened. This stuff isn't coincidence, folks. And what is happening this April 19th, 2021 on Monday? Well, the George Floyd case goes to closing arguments and then to the jury. We've already seen these last couple days, they're gearing up for this. You can already see the narrative. So let's go to the Gateway Pundit. Portland rioters going crazy in Portland again. Setting fires to stuff. BLM, Antifa descends on Lori Lightfoot's Chicago neighborhood, clashing with police. Minnesota. Cops blast violent BLM Antifa with pepper spray. Oh, violent? I thought these were peaceful protests. For those of you, go do your research on BLM and Antifa. These are not new movements. These things, Antifa goes all the way back to the days of Hitler. Compare the flags. They're similar. This stuff came from overseas to here. You don't think it's by design? We've seen recent shootings that are causing these protests, peaceful protests. We had the Brooklyn Center area where the guy was shot by the woman thinking she drew her taser. Instead, she drew her gun and shot the man. Well, yes, it's a mistake. Yes, somebody died. But why did he die? Let's look at the facts. Had expired license plate tabs. Anybody ever get pulled over by police for expired tabs? Last time I checked, that's against the law. Oh, he had a warrant for his arrest? Go figure. And then on top of it, the body cam showed he resisted arrest. Let me explain something to you people. Nobody dies in a peaceful arrest. When you listen to the police officers, and look, are there some bad cops out there? Absolutely. There's more good cops than there are bad. But the minute you resist arrest, all cards are off the table. You are now putting the policemen's lives in jeopardy. And they are going to do what they have to do to protect themselves, just like you would. The whole Chicago thing. It's all about a 13-year-old getting gunned down by cops. Well, why was he gunned down? Oh, maybe because he ran? He was with a 22-year-old and they ran when the cops told him to stop? Come to find out, he had a gun? Go figure. How many 13-year-olds walk around the streets with guns? Last time I heard, that's illegal. By the way, Chicago has the strictest gun laws in this country. Do you people see what's wrong with this picture? They're coming after our guns. The point of this is the criminals will still have them. Wake up. You people think you're free, you're not. They've been taking your liberties away for hundreds of years. You've just been too dumb to wake up and see it. It's just like the Patriot Act after 9/11. You know, we got to get surveillance. We got to have surveillance on the American people, which is against the Constitution and against the law. But guess what? Congress voted it through because we elected these people in there. If you don't realize we're the problem, we elect these people. I know there's people out there going to say, well, this voting thing has been rigged for years. You're right. But we could have done something about it back then before they even... If you had the numbers back then, I don't know. Maybe we could have stopped some of this, but we have a voice. Make no mistake, they work for us. They are afraid of us. There's more of us than there are of them. So as I was saying, the Patriot Act came out. You know, everything starts with good intentions. The problem is it gets weaponized. And that's what has happened. We no longer have any functioning government. We have no judicial system. We have no FBI. How'd they kick off April 15th this year? We had the FedEx shooting. What's the common theme? FBI knew about this guy for over a year, did nothing about it. Parkland shooting. FBI knew about the guy for over a year, had complaints, did nothing about it. When are you people going to get to understand this picture? They're coming for us. Trump said it. This is not about me. This is about you. Here we go with Breitbart. BLM activists ask people, when are they ready to get blood on their hands? I'm going to tell you. These people are animals. They're terrorists. These are not normal people. They have a disregard for human life. People that have a soul, a spirit, a regard for human life, do not care what your color is, what your sex preference is. We do not go out and burn buildings and kill people. That's the difference. Good versus evil. I'm sorry, these people are animals. I don't care what color they are. They're animals. They're terrorists. And they need to be rounded up as such. I don't know where our law enforcement, where our military is. Hearing some things through the grapevine on some other channels that if these riots activate next week through multiple cities, we might see the emergency broadcast system kick in. And we might see the military going in and rounding these people up. For the first time in my life, I am praying for this. This is the one time I do want a national lockdown for people to stay in their homes. Clean this vile evil up. And that's my rant for the day. But I might not be done. So let's go to another topic. The plandemic. And I did call it a plandemic. And by the way, if YouTube takes this down, you can find me on BitChute. This week we saw a nice little exchange between Jim Jordan and Dr. Fauci. This guy should be tried on war crimes, crimes against humanity. And I'm going to play some segments from this. The link will be in there. You can watch the full video. This was epic. This man is a patriot and a warrior. I wish we had more like him in Congress.
When is the time? Well, in your written statement, you say, now is not the time to pull back on masking, physical distancing, and avoiding congregate settings. When is the time? When do Americans get their freedom back? Can you put your microphone on, please?
Right. When we get the level of infection in this country low enough that it is not a really high.
What is low enough? Give me a number. What I mean, we had 15 days to slow the spread, turned into 1 year of lost liberty. What metrics? What measures? What has to happen before Americans get their freedoms back?
My message, Congressman Jordan, is to get as many people vaccinated as quickly as we possibly can to get the level of infection in this country low that it is no longer a threat. That is when. And I believe when that happens, you will see.
What determines when?
I'm sorry.
What measure? I mean, are we just going to continue this forever, or when do we get to the point? What measure? What standard? What objective outcome do we have to reach before Americans get their liberty and freedoms back?
Okay. Listen to what he's saying. The Constitution is specific. It does not pause for a pandemic. Yet, people are being forced to wear masks. People are told they need to get, you know what? The jab. Why? And you've seen, go look. If you don't believe there's a media blackout in this country, go look at other countries' newspaper sites, news sites. You want to really find out what's going on in this country? Go to the Daily UK Mail. Go to the Israel newspaper site. Go to India's newspaper site. You want to find out what's really going on in this country? Go to other countries' news sites, because I'm telling you, there is a media blackout in this country that you are not privy to getting information of what's going on, not only here, but around the world. Start getting focused, people. Start getting educated, and go out there and start doing some reading. And educate yourself, because that's the only way we're going to beat this. Is to unite, get together, and stand strong in the faith of God. For He will protect us. Now let me continue with the clip.
You know, you're indicating liberty and freedom. I look at it as a public health measure to prevent people from dying and going to the hospital.
You don't think Americans' liberties have been threatened the last year, Dr. Fauci? They've been assaulted. Their liberties have.
I don't look at this as a liberty thing, Congressman Jordan.
Well, that...
He doesn't look at this as a liberty thing, people. Let me point out, this man is the highest paid person in government, makes $400,000 a year. Not an elected official. What gives him the authority to dictate our lives? If you can't see how evil these people are and what their agenda is, go look up Agenda 21. Go look up Agenda 2030. Alex Jones did an emergency broadcast on Easter. Go look it up and watch it. All the facts are there. Why do you need to take a jab for something that's 99.9% curable through therapeutics? What aggravates me about all this, nothing against Jim Jordan, my guess is they're told not to do it. But it's public knowledge. Fauci wrote in 2005 the effects of hydroxychloroquine on COVID and how it killed it. Fauci's on video 2017 saying Donald Trump will face a pandemic during his presidency. Go look up the Steve Bannon War Room podcast from a couple days ago with Peter Navarro on it. He dropped a bombshell claiming Fauci owns a patent on COVID, has stake in the Wuhan laboratory. You're starting to see this man, if you watch this whole video, you're going to see him getting flustered. He knows the walls are closing in on him. Time is running out. So keep some faith, people. Things are happening, even though you're not seeing them the way you want to see them. And I'll leave you lastly with this. To let you know that we're getting to these people. This was on Hannity's show this week. Geraldo loses it. I mean, literally loses it. Calls Dan Bongino a punk and a son of a bitch on live TV. Why? This is what they do when they're presented with facts and they can't argue against it. Mr. Capone's vault. Shout out to Bobby Lux there. This guy's been a fraud his whole life. Claims he loves immigrants. He loves the American way. But yet doesn't stand up about any of these riots. Any of this stuff going on. He always takes the other side of the victim. People, we're the victims. Wake up. Once you start realizing that, you can armor up with the armor of God and get into battle, because it's time. The Lord needs us. He's calling upon us. Give yourself to Him. You won't regret it. And you will be given the gift of sight, of wisdom, knowledge, and discernment. You know, a lot of these videos I've put out have been through gut instinct, meaning it hit me on a spur of the moment, and I can only say it was God telling me. My Red Sea moment video is probably the best example. It just hit me out of the blue that I put that video together. I wasn't even planning on it. These things take some research, take some time to put together. I did that one on a spur of the moment, based on what my gut was telling me to do. So that's the show, folks. I know I got a little edgy there, but, patience is wearing thin. I'm praying for it, but I pray for stuff to happen, and very quickly. We need it. I feel for a lot of people. A lot of people have suffered throughout all this. And boy, are people going to be angry if and when the truth really comes out. And pay attention to all these soft UFO disclosures. One of my favorite topics. This is how I got into conspiracy theories. I was into the UFOs since I was 8 years old, finding an old paperback book in my family attic that my dad had. And I followed that ever since I was 8 years old. Researched the Roswell, all that stuff. We're starting to see more and more disclosure. That's going to be another event that they're planning. This is why you need the wisdom, the sight, the discernment. Because it's going to be a false flag. It's going to be the great deception, in my opinion. And you need to have your wits and your faith about you. That's all I can say. Outside of that, I pray for everybody. You're on your own. You have your own free will. Call me a nut job. That's your privilege. And I respect it. So with that, stay safe, stay strong, stay vigilant. Be careful this next week. Keep aware of your surroundings. And until next time, same bad time, same bad channel. Good night, everybody.